There is a specific kind of heartbreak that happens in the quiet of your own kitchen. It is not loud. It does not scream. It is the slow, silent rot of good intentions turning into waste. You walk to the counter, perhaps after a long day, and you reach for that red orb you bought 3 days ago. You remember picking it out. You remember thinking it looked perfect. But now, as your fingers press against the skin, there is no firmness. There is only a soft, yielding mush. The vibrant red has dulled to a bruised purple in spots. And then, the smell hits you. It is not the sharp, green scent of the vine, or the sweet, sun-baked aroma of summer. It is the sour, fermented odor of decay. You slice it open, hoping the inside is still sound, but the seeds are swimming in a watery, gray sludge. You throw it in the bin. Then you look at the receipt. You paid good money for that. Hard-earned dollars, exchanged for something that lasted less than a week. This feeling is familiar to almost everyone who walks the aisles of the modern grocery store. We have all stood there, holding a plastic bag of tomatoes that turned to liquid before we could eat them. We blame ourselves. We think we chose wrong. We think we are bad shoppers, or that we do not know how to pick produce. But I am here to tell you that this failure is not your fault. The world has changed. The way food is grown, picked, shipped, and displayed has shifted so far from the natural order that the old instincts we once had no longer work. We are trying to use wisdom from a slower time in a system built for speed and shelf life, not flavor and nutrition. You are not failing because you are foolish. You are failing because the game has been rigged against your senses. But today, that changes. By the time we are done here, you will have the verified rules, the plain truth, handed down through generations of farmers who lived by the soil, not the spreadsheet. You will never buy a bad tomato again. I am Isaac Beiler, and I keep house and farm here in Lancaster County, the way it was handed down to me before the world got so fast. My hands are rough from the work, and my knowledge is deep from the years. I do not speak to sell you anything. I speak to share what the land has taught me. If you value this kind of plain, practical know-how that the world is trying to bury, I would ask you to subscribe to this channel. It helps us keep these old traditions alive for the next generation. It tells the algorithms that there are still people who care about truth over trend. Now, one honest word so you trust me. These rules I am about to give you are not magic. They will not make a winter tomato taste like July sunshine if it was picked green and gassed in a warehouse. But they will stop you from bringing home garbage. They will save your money. They will respect the labor of the farmer, even if that farmer is a machine. Expect better food, less waste, and a deeper connection to what you eat. That is the promise. You must understand the system you are walking into. The modern grocery chain is not designed to feed you the best food. It is designed to move product. It runs on volume and visual appeal. Big brands profit from your lack of knowledge because they can sell you a tomato that looks perfect but tastes like cardboard, and you will buy it again because it looked right. They breed tomatoes for thick skins that can survive being thrown into crates and shipped across 3 states. They breed them for uniform redness, using gases to turn them orange-red, even if they were picked when they were hard and green. This system runs itself on waste. It expects you to throw away half of what you buy. It counts on your confusion. It relies on the fact that you do not know the difference between a vine-ripened fruit and a cold-stored commodity. Contrast this with plain knowledge. Plain knowledge costs only pocket change. It requires you to look closer, to touch, to smell, to think. It requires you to reject the shiny lie for the imperfect truth. When you learn to see what the industry tries to hide, you take back your power. You stop being a consumer and start being a steward of your own table. The first rule is to ignore the color, at least at first. Most people walk up to the bin and grab the brightest red tomato they can find. This is a mistake. In the commercial world, red is often a lie. Tomatoes are frequently picked when they are mature but still green, then exposed to ethylene gas in a warehouse to trigger ripening. This turns the skin red, but it does not develop the sugars or the complex flavors that come from staying on the vine. Instead, look for the shoulders. A truly ripe tomato, even a commercial one, will often have a slight greenish or yellowish tint near the stem. This is called the shoulder. If the entire tomato is a uniform, flat red, it was likely forced. Look for a tomato that has a deep, rich color, but perhaps some variation. The skin should look dull, not glossy. Glossy skin often means it was waxed or is simply unripe and hard. You want a matte finish. This indicates the natural bloom of the fruit. Do not be afraid of a little green on the top. That is nature's signature that the fruit develops slowly. The scientific reason is simple. Chlorophyll breaks down as the fruit ripens, revealing the carotenoids and lycopene underneath. If this process is rushed by gas, the breakdown is uneven and superficial. Trust the shoulder, not the blush. The second rule is about weight. Pick up the tomato, hold it in your palm. It should feel heavy for its size. This is the most reliable test you can perform without cutting it open. A heavy tomato is full of water and gel, which means it is juicy and fresh. A light tomato feels hollow. It feels like air. This hollowness comes from dehydration or from the internal structure breaking down. When a tomato sits in cold storage for too long, the cells begin to die and lose their turgor pressure. The water evaporates through the skin, even if you cannot see it. The result is a mealy, dry interior that crumbles rather than juices. In our folk terms, we say a light tomato has lost its spirit. It is empty. Always compare two tomatoes of similar size. Lift one, then the other. The heavier one is always the better choice. It is a simple physics lesson. Density equals quality. Do not just look. Feel the gravity of the fruit. If it feels insubstantial, put it back. It will disappoint you. The third rule concerns the skin and the stem. Run your thumb gently over the surface. You are looking for tension. The skin should be tight, like a drumhead. It should not wrinkle. Wrinkles are the first sign of age. They mean the fruit has been sitting for too long, losing moisture faster than it can replenish it. But more importantly, look at the stem scar. This is the circle where the stem was attached. In many modern supermarkets, the stems are removed entirely to prevent scratching other tomatoes during shipping. This is a bad sign. A tomato without a stem is an orphan. It has been severed from its source of life prematurely. If you can find tomatoes with the green calyx, the leafy star on top, still attached, choose those. The calyx acts as a seal. It keeps the moisture in and the bacteria out. If the calyx is brown, brittle, or falling off, the tomato is old. If the calyx is bright green and flexible, the tomato is fresh. The stem scar itself should be small and dry. If it is large, wet, or leaking, do not buy it. That is an open door for mold. The science here is about integrity. The plant seals the wound when it detaches naturally. If it is torn off early, the seal is weak. Protect the seal. The fourth rule is about shape and symmetry. We are taught to love the perfect sphere. We want the tomato to look like a billiard ball. But nature does not make billiard balls. Nature makes irregular, lumpy, beautiful things. A perfectly round tomato is often a sign of hybridization for ease of packing, not for flavor. Look for the heirloom shapes. Look for the lobes. A tomato with deep ridges and lobes often has more flesh and fewer seeds relative to its size. These irregularities are where the flavor concentrates. In the old markets, we called these ugly tomatoes, but we knew they were the sweetest. Do not fear the odd shape. Fear the uniformity. Uniformity is the mark of the factory. Irregularity is the mark of the garden. However, there is a limit. If the shape is distorted by cracks or scars, that is damage. But if it is just lopsided or ribbed, that is character. The horticultural reason is that uneven growth often means the fruit spent more time on the vine, developing complex sugars as it struggled to fill its unusual form. Embrace the weird. The weird is usually tasty. The fifth rule is the sniff test. Bring the tomato close to your nose, specifically near the stem end. Smell it. A ripe tomato should smell like a tomato. It should have an earthy, sweet, slightly musky aroma. It should remind you of dirt and sun. If it has no smell, it has no flavor. Scent and taste are linked. The volatile compounds that create the aroma are the same ones that create the taste profile. If you cannot smell it, You will not taste it. It will be water and acid. If it smells sour or fermented, it is already going bad. Many people forget to do this. They rely only on their eyes. But your nose is a more sensitive instrument than your eye. It can detect the early stages of decay that the eye cannot see. It can detect the absence of ripeness. Take a moment. Breathe in. If the air is empty, put the tomato back. You are buying flavor, not just color. Do not settle for silence. The sixth rule is about the season and the source. This is the hardest rule for modern shoppers, but it is the most important. A tomato bought in December in a northern climate is a compromise. It is a shadow of what a tomato should be. The energy required to grow a tomato in winter, either in a heated greenhouse or shipped from thousands of miles away, results in a fruit that is tired. It lacks the solar intensity that creates sugar. Try to buy tomatoes only when they are in season in your region. In Lancaster, that is July through September. If you must buy them in winter, buy canned. Yes, canned. A high-quality canned tomato, processed at the peak of ripeness, is often superior to a fresh winter tomato that was picked green. Do not let pride fool you. Respect the cycle. The earth rests in winter. Let your palate rest too. Wait for the sun. When the season comes, buy in bulk. Preserve them. Freeze them. Can them. Live with the rhythm, not against it. The seventh rule is about the variety. Not all tomatoes are the same. Know what you are buying. If you want a salad, look for a cherry or grape tomato. They are bred to hold their shape and have a higher sugar to acid ratio. If you want a sauce, look for a Roma or San Marzano type. They have less water and more flesh. If you want a sandwich, look for a beefsteak. Do not buy a Roma for a salad, it will be dry. Do not buy a beefsteak for sauce, it will be watery. Match the tool to the task. The grocery store labels these poorly. Learn the names. Ask the produce manager. If they do not know, shop elsewhere. Knowledge is your shield. When you know the difference between a slicer and a saucer, you stop wasting money on the wrong tool. You stop being frustrated by a dry salad or a thin sauce. Specificity brings satisfaction. Now let us speak of what most people throw away. The stem, the core, the skin. In a kitchen run with care, there is no such thing as garbage. When you prepare your tomatoes, do not toss the cores into the trash. Those cores, the tough white part around the stem, are full of pectin. Pectin is the natural thickener. Save them. Boil them with water and strain the liquid. Use that liquid to thicken your soups and stews. It is free gelatin. The skins? If you are making sauce, blend them in. They contain the highest concentration of lycopene, the antioxidant that gives the tomato its red color and its health benefits. To peel them is to throw away the medicine. If the texture bothers you, pass the sauce through a sieve, but do not discard the pulp. Compost what remains. Feed the soil that will feed you next year. This is the circle. Nothing is wasted. Everything has a purpose. When you view the tomato as a whole resource, not just a red ball, you change your relationship with food. You become grateful for every part. You become efficient. You become wise. Let us talk numbers. How much does this save you? An average family spends hundreds of dollars a year on produce that goes bad. If you buy 10 pounds of tomatoes a month in season and you waste 30% because you do not know how to pick them, you are throwing away money. Over a year, that adds up. But more than the money, consider the cost of disappointment. How many meals were ruined by a watery, flavorless tomato? How many salads were eaten with resignation instead of joy? When you apply these rules, your waste drops to near zero. Your satisfaction rises. You buy less, but you eat better. For children, this is crucial. If a child eats a bland, mealy tomato, they learn to hate tomatoes. They learn that vegetables are boring. If they eat a ripe, heavy, fragrant tomato, they learn that nature is sweet. They learn to trust their senses. This is an education that no school can provide. It is the education of the hand and the tongue. It builds a lifetime of healthy habits. The return on investment is not just in dollars. It is in health. It is in memory. It is in the pleasure of a meal shared with family, where the food is honored because it was chosen with care. I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments what state you are in, what county, and how old your house is. I read every word. I like to know where my neighbors are. It helps me understand the soil you are working with. If you are in a city, tell me. If you are on a farm, tell me. We are all connected by the need for good food. And please, if this wisdom has helped you, subscribe. It is a small thing, but it keeps this voice alive. It keeps the old ways visible in a digital world. Next time I will share a secret that most gardeners overlook. It involves a single cup of wood ash and what it does to your lawn. It is not what you think. It is not just for gardens. It transforms the grass beneath your feet. Join me then. Until then, keep your eyes open, your hands busy, and your heart grateful. Go slowly. Choose well. Eat deeply.